Someone asks a question. 3 people immediately start talking over each other. You're sitting there, turning the idea over in your head like a smooth stone, considering the angles, thinking about what you actually want to say. By the time you're ready to contribute something real, the conversation has moved on. Someone at the table assumes you're bored, or sad, or too shy to join in. But the truth is the opposite. You're the only one actually interested in what anyone said. This happens at dinner tables. It happens at work meetings. It happens in relationships. And psychology has a name for what's happening in moments like these. It's not shyness. It's not social anxiety. It's deep processing, and it is a fundamentally different way of moving through the world than most people have been trained to recognize. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your brain. Research in neuroscience has consistently shown that introverted people have higher baseline cortical arousal. Translation: their brains are already running at a higher level of stimulation even when they're at rest. This isn't a weakness or a deficit. It's a structural difference in how their nervous systems operate. Here's what that means in practical terms. While an extroverted person might feel understimulated in a quiet room and need more external input, more talking, more action, more novelty, an introverted person's brain is already processing plenty. They're reaching that optimal level of arousal through internal activity. Different neurotransmitters are at play. Extroverts run on dopamine, which rewards novelty and external stimulation. Introverts rely more heavily on acetylcholine, which supports calm, focused, internally directed attention. So when you're sitting quietly at a table, you're not failing to engage. Your brain is engaged in a completely different way, one that looks like absence to everyone else but feels like depth to you. So what's actually happening in that silence? When a quiet person sits without speaking, their brain is running through a specific sequence. Someone makes a statement. The quiet person immediately checks it against what they know. They think about how it might apply to someone else's situation. They consider what the person might actually be feeling beneath what they're saying. They ask themselves, would my response actually add something? Or would I just be joining in for the sake of joining in? This is the thing people don't grasp about quiet people in group conversations. They're not disengaged. They are curating. They are filtering. They're deciding what's worth saying and what isn't. Research on deep processing shows that when people engage in this kind of reflective thinking, their brains demonstrate higher activity in areas associated with semantic processing, meaning making, not just sound making. The Harvard Grant study, one of the longest-running psychological studies on human happiness, found something striking. People who maintain fewer, but deeper relationships report significantly higher life satisfaction than those with larger, more superficial social networks. This isn't incidental to how quiet people move through the world. It's central to it. Quiet people in group conversations aren't failing at socializing. They're selecting for depth. They're prioritizing quality over velocity. But here's the problem. The social penalty for this kind of thinking is real. There's a documented perception gap that researchers have studied extensively. Studies on perception thresholds and social visibility show that people who speak less frequently are often judged as less competent, less confident, and less worthy of leadership. The irony is sharp. The people thinking most carefully about what's being said are the ones getting read as absent. Think about where this shows up. In hiring decisions, where talkative candidates get selected over thoughtful ones. In classrooms, where participation grades reward performance over processing. In relationships, where the person who thinks before speaking gets coded as cold or uncommitted. Someone shares something vulnerable. The quiet person is absorbing it, turning it over, genuinely considering what it means and how to respond with something that actually matters. Meanwhile, the louder people are already offering solutions or sharing similar stories or redirecting the conversation back to themselves. The quiet person's delay feels like disengagement. It's usually the opposite. This misreading is particularly acute in situations involving emotional connection. I've seen this pattern everywhere once I started paying attention. At a pottery class, there was a woman who barely spoke during the intro session. Everyone assumed she was new and nervous. By week 4, she'd become the person teaching other students how to center clay properly, because she'd actually been listening and watching and thinking instead of performing. The quiet ones are processing at a level that looks like absence to everyone else. Someone once told me I was a good listener because I didn't interrupt. I had to think about how to explain that it wasn't virtue. It was just how my brain works. When someone talks, I'm already spinning their words around, connecting dots, thinking about what they're really asking. If I interrupt, I'm interrupting myself. But that quietness can read as passivity, or lack of opinion, or worst case, disinterest. Research on presence in social situations shows that being fully mentally available, actually thinking about what someone is saying rather than formulating your next statement, is a trait many people have lost. Quiet people have kept it. Their silence is often the deepest form of presence in the room. Here's what I've realized after decades of watching quiet people get misread as shy. The world is structured to reward noise. It's built for people who think out loud, who reach for the microphone, who fill silences because silence feels dangerous to them. We've normalized the assumption that more talking equals more thinking, more engagement, more presence. We haven't yet built institutions that recognize that some of the deepest thinking happens in silence. Psychology research on genuine introversion and deep conversation consistently shows that these aren't personality flaws. They re a distinct cognitive style with specific advantages. People who process deeply make better long-term decisions. They're more likely to notice ethical problems before they become scandals. They build meaningful relationships rather than shallow networks. They have the kind of self-knowledge that comes from internal definition rather than external validation. When you stop trying to force yourself to speak more quickly in group settings, something shifts. You start choosing words with intention. People actually listen when you do speak because they've learned you only contribute when you have something to say. The quiet people aren't losing. They're just playing a different game. One where the payoff comes later, in actual understanding and connection rather than momentary airtime. The next time you're in a room where someone isn't fighting to be heard, ask yourself what you're actually seeing. It could be shyness. It could be social anxiety. But it could also be someone whose brain is doing the work most people have stopped doing, the kind of deep, careful, reflective thinking that turns surface-level conversation into something that actually means something. The quiet ones aren't absent. They're just thinking in a way that's become invisible to a world obsessed with noise. And that's exactly where the depth lives. The real question isn't why quiet people don't speak more. It's why we've decided that speaking more is what matters in the first place. And perhaps, what we all missing while we too busy being heard to actually listen to what's being said. There's a reason conversation habits that signal low awareness so often involve talking without thinking, because we've trained ourselves to move at a speed that thinking can't match. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more quiet people find this message. And subscribe for more psychology deep dives. Drop a comment. Are you the quiet one in group conversations? What do people get wrong about you? I'll see you in the next one.